Oh, man. What is up? That was a weird way to start. We're live. Welcome to Status Coup. I am Ron Placone, your host. Today is January 3rd, 2024. Happy New Year. It's my first show of the new year. Good to see you all. So Jordan Cheriton could not be here today. Jordan Cheriton had a family issue, so he could not be here today. We wish him and everybody well. So I'm filling in. And also, you probably notice if my posture seems a little weird today, I have stitches here. I had a minor procedure done. Nothing to worry about. It was just like, I mean, not to be too gross or graphic here, but I had like an oversized blackhead that was not causing me pain or anything, but it was kind of annoying because it was right on my collarbone. So like whenever I put a seatbelt on, I could feel it. It just felt like there was like a little bubble. It was annoying. So I had it removed yesterday, but I'm gonna have to remove the bandages right at the top of the hour. So wow, what a start to the year. By the way, it's just like I got these bandages to remove. Jordan's wife is sick, and Happy New Year, everybody. Colin, do you have any tragedy to share? Hardly a tragedy.
Not yet, at least.
Nice. But good to be here. Good to see everybody. Happy New Year. We got a lot of news today. So we're going to talk about some breaking stuff that we're going to cover in real time. We have some Israel-Palestine updates, both as far as what happened in Iran. There was an attack in Iran that might be connected to the attack in Beirut. South Africa is pushing a lawsuit. Bernie Sanders had a response to all this. We're going to go through that. We're going to be covering in real time. Will they release the Epstein list? They said they're going to. We'll see. Now they're saying it might not happen until later in the month. I've been here on January 22nd, but we're going to watch it in real time. Also, Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel got into it over this. And we're also going to be talking East Palestine. When joining me today, she's been doing a lot of on-the-ground work in East Palestine. We've been monitoring her stuff, and she's joining me today. Please welcome to the show, Savage Joy. What's up, Joy?
Hello. You've been monitoring me.
I've been monitoring you.
Dun, dun, dun. Did I break any rules?
No, you didn't break it. Well, I mean, I guess you caused some good trouble by catching those people on the hot mic. Yeah, I mean, we played that here, and yeah, that was cool. But those are the rules meant to be broken. Those are the rules to break.
And I might be subpoenaed for it. Woo!
Right. Yeah. No, that's been a riot. But we're gonna jump into all that first. So this happened in New Jersey. We're monitoring this in real time. Let's go ahead and pull up that tweet, Colin. This is breaking today. An imam was shot and killed at a shooting outside of a New Jersey mosque. Now, imam, for those of you who might not be familiar, that is a prayer leader. And that person was shot and killed outside of a New Jersey mosque. They don't know who exactly is responsible as of the recording of this. They're still trying to figure out what's going on there. We're watching it in real time. Colin's watching it in real time on the ones and twos the best he can. Same with Jordan behind the scenes. So if there are any updates in real time, we will update you. But very, very tragic way to start the new year. And we got some more updates for you that are not great. This happened in Iran. Let's go to the Trita Parsi tweet, Colin. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but this kind of sums up what happened. So at least 100 people were killed by an explosion today in Iran at an event commemorating General Soleimani. It is likely connected to Israel's assassination of a senior Hamas official yesterday in Beirut, a move widely seen as designed to provoke a response from Hezbollah. The week before, an Iranian general was killed in Syria by Israel. Thus far, Iran has only responded indirectly to Israel, calculating that Israel wants to escalate Israel and Iran's low-level war into open warfare. But as Israel's attacks continue, Tehran's long-game strategy is coming under increasing strain as more voices in Iran argue that the absence of a strong response undermines Iran's deterrence, minoring the argument of Washington hawks whenever the U.S. doesn't use kinetic force. This is a very dangerous moment. A region-wide war appears more likely by the day. So, new year, pushing closer to World War III. So basically, what we know right now, we know that an attack happened in Iran. Over 100 people are dead. And we don't know for sure who did it. Just to be totally journalistic above board here, as of the recording of this, we don't know exactly who did it. But we do know that Israel bombed Beirut yesterday, killing a top Hamas leader. And that, of course, happened in Beirut in Lebanon. And so, there's a good chance those two things are connected. We don't know 100% for sure. Some have speculated, well, why would Israel all of a sudden antagonize Iran in this situation? The response to that is, well, the Israeli government, the whole thing, they're telling everyone, oh, we are going to completely wipe out Hamas off. Like, we're just going to completely wipe them out. So they would likely just go into Iran and just not, like, we don't care who we antagonize. We're just going to wipe them out. So that's basically an assessment of everything we know so far.
It's crazy because my dearest friend, who is from Iran, she her family still lives in Tehran, which is the capital and where they target. And I was seeing tweets like, heads up, this is going to happen. And I'm texting her screenshots like, oh my God, call your parents, call your brothers, like, get them out of there. I know Tehran is a big city, but they're used to just being on alert and just saying, okay, let's get out of town, even if it's for a few days. And so she's calling, she can't get a hold of anyone. And that's because they turn off the internet. A lot of times they turn off the internet, they turn off the phone lines, things like that. So I'm freaking out because she's freaking out. Finally, she got a hold of them, which felt like 100 years. So it's like, a lot of times we don't, and if she wasn't in my life so intimately, I don't even know if I would think about how that is. But of course, there's a lot of people from Iran in our country, and you got to think, oh my God, they're going through the same thing, just like Palestinians are, and so forth. So yeah, it's scary because a lot of times when these heightened, attacks are going on, they don't have a way to reach out.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy what's happening on the ground right now. So here's something that's happening that South Africa is pushing for. Let's go to the Reuters article, Colin. Israel will appear before the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, in The Hague to contest South Africa's genocide accusations over the war with Hamas in Gaza. South Africa asked the ICJ on Friday for an urgent order declaring that Israel was in breach of its obligations under the 1948 Genocide Convention in its crackdown against Hamas. The state of Israel will appear before the International Court of Justice at The Hague to dispel South Africa's absurd blood libel, said the spokesman Elon Levy told in an online briefing. So the international community is responding to this, and more people from the international community are calling for both a ceasefire and are calling this out for what it is. They're calling out the atrocious actions of the Israeli government. Of course, the United States is on the wrong side per usual, but more and more people in the international community are calling this out. Colin, let's play the video that explains the differences between the courts, just so people are aware of this. This basically breaks it down. This is from a human rights attorney that breaks it down, the difference between the International Criminal Court and the International Court of Justice, which is what they're filing with in this case.
Hi guys, I want to make a video to let you know that the International Criminal Court is not the International Court of Justice. My DMs are filled with some of you asking about the application that South Africa made concerning Israel and genocide, and that court is the International Court of Justice. It is not the International Criminal Court, or the ICC. It is kind of confusing because both of the courts are in The Hague, the Netherlands. The Hague is not the name of a court. A lot of times people think it's the name of an international court. It's not. It's a city in the Netherlands that I used to live in when I worked at the courts, but it's the name of a city. And there is a court called the International Criminal Court, which deals with individual criminal responsibility. And so you see arrest warrants against Putin or Omar al-Bashir, who is the former dictator of Sudan. It's about individuals. The International Court of Justice is about state-to-state complaints. So, for example, the Gambia brought a claim against Myanmar at the International Court of Justice. We see that Ukraine brought a case against Russia, or an application against Russia at the International Court of Justice. It's state to state. And here, South Africa has brought an application against the state of Israel, but it's not the International Criminal Court. I see a lot of media reporting that. I see a lot of accounts reporting that. It's the ICJ, not the ICC.
Okay, so that was just broken down for you in very plain speak by somebody who can explain it way better than I can.
I mean, that's really good explanation. That
right.
was needed.
Yeah, no, that totally like unpacked it for me. Where I was like, oh, okay, so that's what that court does, and that's why they're making this. Okay, cool. So we'll see what happens here, and you know, it has been frustrating, and you know, Joy, give me your thoughts on this. It has been frustrating seeing at first so many in the international community were so scared to, you know, tick off the United States, basically, where they were just abstaining or, you know, being neutral, which I guess is abstaining. But now more and more countries are kind of totally on board with the ceasefire. And of course, it's been frustrating for everyone to see because the U.S. has just been the big no ceasefire, which makes people wonder, and rightfully so. People are kind of looking at all this and they're going, well, what's the point of the UN if one country can just, you know, like have their way and nobody else? It doesn't matter if one country abstains.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. supersedes all others. Like we've seen multiple times that the UN has held a vote, and it's been, you know, everyone yes for a ceasefire except the U.S. And we are higher on the podium than all else, and it's our lone decision that stops it. I mean, the thing that is frustrating, though, that I think everyone needs to remember is that people have different definitions of ceasefire. Those of us who march in the streets, you know, and who have been marching in the streets and such for 3 months, our definition of ceasefire is permanent. Like, we're done. Like, after today, no more. Whereas some of the, you know, the people politically and what have you who are finally coming around and saying, okay, ceasefire, they are saying asterisk. They are saying caveat. They're saying, well, a humanitarian pause and all this stupid shit. But we mean like for good. So I think, you know, we need to clarify with certain people, usually people who have like higher stature. We need to like grill them. What do you mean by ceasefire? Because we don't mean like the 3 to 5 days that they're going to breach anyway, or things like that. So that becomes frustrating to see people online like, yay, they finally said it. And then you'll see other posts and it's like, yeah, I don't think they mean what you think it means.
Well, speaking of frustrating,
I know it's coming and I'm ready.
We're gonna go over. We're gonna get into domestic here. Same issue, but we're gonna go over to the domestic side now, and we're gonna talk about what Bernie Sanders had to say about this. Before we go there, because I know that's what a lot of you are ready for. First of all, feel free to give us a super chat. We'll get to all your super chats, and it helps keep the show on the air. Second of all, it is a new year, and you know what makes a new year? Joining Status Coup. That's a great New Year's resolution. You can become a member for $5 a month or $10 a month. I know times are tough, but if that's something you can swing, if you can't swing it, we totally get it. Like these streams, share these streams, make sure you're subscribed. That all helps. That all goes a long way. But if you're thinking, you know what? I could spare that. I could spare an extra $5 a month, an extra $10 a month. Please, you are funding on the ground journalism. We've been covering the beat. We covered the UAW strikes. We're covering Cop City. We're covering East Palestine. And there's tons more places we want to go this year. So please, if you are able, statuscoup.com/join. And let's go over to Bernie Sanders. So this is what Bernie Sanders had to say about all this. Let's start with the HuffPost piece, Colin, and then we'll go over to his actual statement itself. So, enough is enough, says Bernie Sanders. Senator Bernie Sanders on Tuesday, this was yesterday, repeated his criticism of the Israeli government's military approach in Gaza, calling on his fellow lawmakers to reject the Biden administration's request for billions in aid for Israel. The Biden administration, of course, has asked Congress to approve an additional support package for U.S. allies, including Israel, which Sanders described as unconditional military aid for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government to continue with their brutal war. So let's go over to Bernie's statement, which I still feel is pretty insufficient. I've been very disappointed by everything he's done. So this is Bernie's actual statement here. The issue we face with Israel-Gaza is not complicated. While we recognize that Hamas' barbaric terrorist attack began this war, we must also recognize that Israel's military response has been grossly disproportionate, immoral, and in violation of international law. True. And most importantly for Americans, we must understand that Israel's war against the Palestinian people has been significantly waged with U.S. bombs, artillery shells, and other forms of weaponry. And the results have been catastrophic. True. Since October 7th, over 22,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. 2/3 of these victims have been women and children, and 57,000 wounded. Since the start of the war, 1.9 million Palestinian men, women, and children have been driven from their homes, 85% of the total population of Gaza. According to an analysis of satellite radar data, nearly 70% of the housing units in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged by Israeli bombardment. 2.2 million are at risk of starvation. 90% say they regularly go without food for a whole day. The chief economist at the World Food Program said the humanitarian disaster in Gaza is among the worst he has ever seen. This cannot be allowed to continue. Congress is working to pass a supplemental funding bill that includes $10 billion of unconditional military aid for the right-wing Netanyahu government to continue its brutal war against the Palestinian people. Enough is enough. Congress must reject that funding. The taxpayers of the United States. So, all right. This last sentence, the taxpayers of the United States must no longer be complicit in destroying the lives of innocent men, women, and children in Gaza. So, the thing here, and Joy, I want to get your thoughts as well. Bernie just will not say the words ceasefire. Like, it's not even like a conditional, what exactly do you mean by ceasefire? He just won't say ceasefire. And it's like, we're not nitpicking here because it's like the equivalent of saying that you want everyone to have healthcare and saying how disastrous people not having healthcare is, but refusing to say the words Medicare for all and refusing to say that you support Medicare for all. It's very similar, and we know that political doublespeak. We've seen that trick played so many times, and Bernie just won't say ceasefire. And it is so just utterly heartbreaking, I think. I mean, it's like, what are you doing? Even though, I mean, so much of the stuff in his statement, 100% right on. And it's been that way for a while. He'll say like he's telling the story. It's not like he doesn't know what's going on, but then he just won't say ceasefire. And saying that last sentence, the American taxpayers need to stop being complicit. 61% of likely voters are demanding a ceasefire.
61%. It's up to 83%.
Oh, is it higher now? So that's a significant percentage. They're all calling for a ceasefire, despite the fact that the United States is arguably the most war propagandized nation in the frickin' world. We get an incredibly skewed version of what's going on when it comes to all issues of war and peace, this one included. Despite all of that, you're still seeing people calling for ceasefire all across the country. You're still seeing people across the political spectrum, It's not just lefties. It's people all across the political spectrum calling for a ceasefire. You're seeing synagogues across the country saying "not in our name," calling for a ceasefire. You're seeing actions from Jewish Voices for Peace, actions from tons of anti-war organizations calling for a ceasefire, despite all this muck and propaganda that we got to fight on a daily basis here in the U.S. So the American people are not the ones who are complicit here. I'm sorry. It's the United States government that's complicit. Talk to some of your colleagues, Bernie. And for crying out loud, call for a ceasefire. The moderates are never going to like you.
They all hate you. Like, they all hate you. Who are you trying to, lick boots of? Like, you could say whatever you want. They're still going to hate you.
I don't get... Why do you...
Speak real quick. Jordan had sent this, and in fact, you related Yes, because you're talking about how Bernie won't even say the word ceasefire. Well, even it turns out anonymously, Biden's own campaign staff are calling for a ceasefire.
Yes.
Wow.
And this came out, and I assume there's a bunch of I don't know if there's a number, but a lot of his staff.
Like this happened a while ago, but is this
there's like over 300 people on Capitol Hill who have signed petitions and stuff like that. Yeah.
So here's what they have to say. Dear President Biden, we write to you as the current staff of your re-election campaign. As we work to mobilize voters to cast their ballots for you in 2024, we must take a moment to acknowledge our tremendous grief and the grief shared by countless other Americans towards the violence occurring in Gaza. We join this campaign because of the values that you and we share are ones worth fighting for. Justice, empathy, and our belief in the dignity of human life is the backbone of not only the Democratic Party, but of the country. Okay, I'm not sure where they're getting all that, but they're calling for... This is good, though. However, your administration's response to the Israelis' indiscriminate bombing in Gaza has been fundamentally antithetical to those values, and we believe it could cost you the 2024 election. Therefore, we join your 2020 campaign alumni in employing you to publicly for all and use financial and diplomatic leverage to bring about an immediate permanent ceasefire. Okay, I mean, yeah, I know there were grumblings of this, and I guess they officially put it on paper. I'm happy. I'm glad. That's cool. But also, I can't help but kind of ask those people, how familiar are you with your employer? When was he fighting for these values? When was Biden... Name me a war where Biden wasn't on the wrong side for at least most of the time.
Right. I mean, there's only 40 years of tangibles, in fairness.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and, oh my God, as far as Bernie, Ron and I go way back. We've probably done dozens of shows and have hung out in person numerous times. And he knows I was pretty much the Bernie supporter. Like, I was like and all these freaking memories are coming up because right now, this time 4 years ago, I was in Iowa. I moved there for over 5 weeks, knowing nobody, by myself, to volunteer to campaign for Bernie, and while going blind nonetheless. And I'm looking at all these posts and how I was so hopeful and I was so happy. And I'm thinking about, while we were campaigning in Iowa, and I was like going to hundreds of doors with in 6-degree weather with 8 inches of snow and things like that, and just hearing from other people. And we even had a Palestinians for Bernie group, and they were like, and you can even look up articles why Bernie is the best candidate on Palestine when there were 20-something people running, because you could go back to 2021 on Twitter and see he was calling for a ceasefire then, literally ceasefire by name. You can go back years and see that back since 2015 at the earliest, when AIPAC would reach out to him and say, we want to meet with you, he literally would say no and instead hold like rallies for Palestine instead on the date they wanted. I mean, this shit, like, who the fuck are you, Bernie? Like, who are you? Did you dupe us for years? Did you change? Like, what happened? Because this person is, I'm not even disappointed anymore. I'm freaking disgusted. Like, I'm so disgusted. I gave up my life to, you know, fight like hell for this person who turned out to be just someone absolutely repulsive. I could not be more disappointed and more offended and more hurt and heartbroken than I possibly am. And I'm one of how many people who is just fucking done with him. APAC is sharing his posts. Have you seen that?
No, I saw
that. Is like, that's the epitome of, oh my fucking God, dude. That's insanity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get, I honestly don't get it. Like I don't get what he's gaining by not calling for a ceasefire.
No.
Like it doesn't make any sense. Like no matter which way you look at it, like it makes no sense. And for him, I mean, again, it's just like, Bernie, like the establishment will always hate you. They will always hate you. So there's no reason for you to not at least just stand up for what you know is right. And other people in the Senate are doing it.
I know.
Peter Welch is doing it. His colleague in Vermont is doing it.
Yeah.
That guy's doing it. So it's really not, I mean, like, even people in office are seeing, which it's really sad that the majority of the country is calling for a ceasefire. The majority of the country sees through it. And in our elected officials, it's like, what, 11 or something? Not 11%, 11 people. Like, yeah. Yeah, we have a democracy, though, folks. We have a democracy, and it's going great. So when Colin, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, which, by the way, folks, smash the like button. Please, if you are able, leave a super chat. We'll get to all those. We're going to get to Savage Joy's work specifically in a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about Epstein. So they're saying that they're going to release the extensive list from Epstein. They're saying they were going to do it today. When Colin came on, I thought maybe the list was dropped because they were saying they're going to do it today. But then they kind of walked that back. There was an outlet out of LA that said we're not going to know until January 22nd. I don't know what's going on. We'll see. If there's something breaking today, hopefully it's while we're still on the air, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. But Colin is monitoring the situation. Jordan is monitoring the situation, which what a fun activity to do while you're taking care of a baby. Yeah. With one hand, he's taking care of a baby. With the other, he's trying to see if there's flight logs, associated with one of the worst people in human history. God.
Don't show the baby this when they grow up, Jordan. Don't show them.
Like read the flight log when the baby can't sleep. It's crazy. So let's go to the Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy Kimmel thing. So Aaron Rodgers implied. Have you seen any of this?
I don't know who that is.
Aaron Rodgers is, well, I think he's still playing, isn't he? He was the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. He doesn't play for the Packers anymore, but he's an NFL star, and he has some kind of beef with Jimmy Kimmel. I think at one point Jimmy Kimmel made fun of him. And so he basically implied that Jimmy Kimmel was going to be in the flight logs, but he doesn't have any receipts. Like, it's just sort of speculation. So he said it, which that's technically defamation if he's just making that up. Like, you can't do that. So here's what happened. They kind of got into a spat on Twitter. Let's take a look at that tweet, and then we'll go to the apology. And we'll watch the video too. So let's watch the video first, and then we'll read Jimmy Kimmel's tweet. Let's watch the video first of what Aaron Rodgers said. Aaron Rodgers, who, by the way, has to have millions of dollars, but apparently cannot afford a proper computer mic. Colin, let's go to that video.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up, Foxy or somebody back there.
Seats on it.
Bring up Super Bowl 58.
You'll see it.
The emblem. Put it on the screen. And then bring up 57 and 56.
Does that have something to do with the Epstein list that came out?
Feels like
That's supposed to be coming out soon.
Look, this guy's been waiting in his wine cellar. Yeah. I've been waiting in my wine cellar for this thing.
A lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't.
All right. Obviously, a clip from this particular program was run on Jimmy Kimmel's show whenever Aaron brought up the list, and then Jimmy mocked him for it. Mm-hmm. Aaron has not forgotten about that, but here we are, sitting right in front of that nice bottle of scotch. Mm-hmm. What do you say? I'm waiting to celebrate something.
Oh, yeah.
He's been waiting.
That's the one.
You've been waiting. Hey, I'll tell you what, if that list comes out, I definitely will be popping some sort of bottle.
Hey, you've been calling for it for a few years now. Anyone else notice this? Oh.
My God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. They've known. They've known for years.
Like I'm saying, that 59 better be jet green. That's all I'm saying.
Interesting. Well, unless it's Colts blue. Remember, we got Anthony Richardson coming.
Could be. Patriots blue might be there too.
I don't know. You've been jumping on the Minshew train, I feel like.
I love him. I do. I love. He shakes his shoulders.
Team loves him.
He'll throw a pick. Who cares? He'll just go right into that. He is awesome. This guy is phenomenal.
Okay, so I'll be honest. That whole thing with the Super Bowl logos, I'm not sure what they're referring to there. I thought, like, originally I was supposed to co-host with Jordan today. I was kind of hoping Jordan knew because I was like planning on asking him that. So I don't know what that is alluding to. I'm kind of guessing you might not be familiar either.
I'm blind. I couldn't see it.
Right. No. Sure. I gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm with you. If anybody knows in the chat, let us know. I'm not sure like what that alludes to. The Super Bowl logos and what they quote unquote knew. But so Aaron Rodgers said that. So here's Jimmy Kimmel's response. Let's go to the tweet. Go back to the tweet. Dear asshole, for the record, I've not met, flown with, visited, or had any contact whatsoever with Epstein, nor will you find my name on any list other than the clearly phony nonsense that soft-brained wackos like yourself can't seem to distinguish from reality. Your reckless words put my family in danger. Keep it up, and we'll debate the facts further in court. So let's go to the ESPN apology now.
Whenever you're freewheeling and dealing in here, and you're having conversations,
letting it fly.
They can certainly lead to some places that cause like international news and things like that. And whenever there's accusations made about people, that can lead to lawsuits. Now, have been in one before.
Yes.
With Brett Favre. Now, how'd that case end? Well, it ended with me having to read a letter, basically stating that I know nothing that anybody else doesn't know publicly already, that I'm not in the know for that whole thing. And then that was kind of disappeared, but that was a big thing for a long time. Yeah. How did that come? Well, we just started making jokes about stuff. We started talking shit about stuff. And then in our show, I think that is a good part of what we do is we're able to kind of just roll with the punches. We're able to have a good time. We're all rather invested and studied in what's happening around the sports world at all times. Caitlin Clark last night.
Hell yeah. Unreal.
Wait till you hear about Luke Littler today.
Good.
So we are very much in that world. So everybody that comes on the stage has to be able to like basically keep up with where we're headed. There's no there's no formal outline of what we're going to talk about, how we're going to talk about it. There's no A block, B block, C block. There's no scheduled conversations. There's no scheduled debates. There's no topics for you to think about before you get in there. There is just an opportunity to talk about damn near everything for 3.5 hours. And in doing so, the upside of that is some magic can come that you never knew was going to come.
Absolutely.
Good times can be had, laughs can be had, especially when you're rolling on like 2 hours of sleep like we were yesterday after the Rose Bowl. You can have a blast. And on the flip side, there could be some things that were certainly probably, we're going to have to hear from Aaron on that, meant to be shit talk joke that can then become something that is obviously a very serious allegation that then leads to a massive overnight story, one in which, put baby down, sleep, haven't seen her in a while, and then I pick up my phone. Boy. But I can see exactly why Jimmy Kimmel felt the way he felt, especially with his position. But I think Aaron was just trying to talk shit. Now, did it go too far? And a lot of people, Jimmy Kimmel certainly said that was the case. We and I immediately upon it happening, trying to be like, but that is Aaron and Jimmy. They've been
Jousting a bit.
I don't know, you know? So, like, we obviously don't like the fact that we're associated with anything negative ever. We like our show to be an uplifting one, a happy one, a fun one, but it's because we talk shit and try to make light of everything. Some things, obviously, people get very pissed off about, especially when they're that serious allegations. So we apologize for being a part of it. Can't wait to hear what Aaron has to say about it. Hopefully those two will just be able to settle this, you know? Not court-wise, but be able to chit-chat, move along. Because remember, you're allowed to disagree with people's opinions. You're allowed to say, like, I don't... You sound dumb. The more and more you talk, you sound dumber and dumber. And then you're allowed to just move.
The more you talk, you sound dumber and dumber. You got it, dude.
That is called covering one's ass. Boy. I mean, first of all, that segment could have been like 2 minutes, but or shorter than what it was. But that is called covering your ass. Because especially like how he stopped himself. Did you notice that? Like, he would kind of be like, did we go too far? Some would say.
Some would say.
You know, is prepped by an attorney. Because here's how it works, folks. Defamation is not protected speech. So Jimmy Kimmel could, you know, especially since, like, apparently his family was put in some danger by those allegations, Jimmy Kimmel could say, you know, like, this is defamation. This guy, you know, basically lied and implied that I was on these flights or that I had ties to Epstein. There's no evidence. And then the burden of proof would be on Aaron Rodgers to basically prove that he wasn't being deceptive or he wasn't at least being grossly negligent. And, you know, his biggest, if it ever went to court, I think the defense he would use is that he was joking. And a reasonable person would see it as a joke. I mean, that's just like my kind of lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, but my kind of like.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel is on the list that I mean, it's probably fake. Who the hell knows? But it is one of the things that says like Epstein flight logs, and it's written in handwritten. You know, and people are on it who we already know for a fact were on it. His name was on it. That doesn't mean it's a receipt, but I think that could be where he got it from. And that could, like, Jimmy Kimmel could use that and say he's using it because of this completely false meme that was going around, and it would actually hurt Aaron more. Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, so that's basically that, and it's I don't know, it's just sort of funny to see. I want to see the real list. I want to see.
I don't want to see Noam's name on that because that still surprises the shit out of me.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't have any preconceived. Like, I'm just sort of like, well, I'm just gonna take the information for what it is, what it's available to us. You know, and hey, who knows? Like, for all we know, I mean, look, I don't think there's any indication that Jimmy Kimmel is not telling the truth, but we have no idea. Like we basically have no idea one way or another. If he is telling the truth, he could totally sue Aaron Rodgers if he wanted to for defamation. Defamation is hard to prove, as it should be. So I don't know if he would necessarily win. He would have some damn good attorneys. However, so would Aaron Rodgers. They're both rich. So, you know, it would basically just be an interesting joust from a legal standpoint. And whichever lawyer did the better job will win. That's what will happen. But it's just kind of interesting. That was just sort of an interesting joust between the two of them. Somebody let us know. So, Joy, I know you're not really much of an NFL person, and neither am I, so this isn't really huge for either of us. But here's what that meant. Okay, logos get put out at the beginning of the season, and they match the colors of the team that end up in the Super Bowl. So it's saying the NFL is rigged. That was what.
Oh,
that was what they were on about. That was the thing. Now, I will say this. I'm not going to say the NFL is or isn't rigged because I have no idea. But I used to enjoy the NFL a lot more than I do now. And I stopped enjoying it for a number of reasons. You know, like the whole thing with Kaepernick, that they didn't have his back, that bothered me a lot, and made me not want to pay attention to the game. But the other big thing is that they just kept they scrutinize the calls so much that it's like 45 minutes in between plays. Whatever I have watched an NFL game, just because I'd be with friends or whatever, I can't get into it anymore. And I like the sport itself. I think it's a really fun game. Some of the college bowl games were just very fun to watch, but I feel like the NFL has just ruined the game. And it's just a terrible institution on so many levels. And there have been times where I have been watching games and I've been thinking, this is so absurd how the referees just at this pivotal moment made this ridiculous call that totally switched this, that I'm like, if this isn't a script, it should be. So, and there have been times where I've been watching the NFL and I would think this is closer to professional wrestling than it is to just a straight up sporting contest. Now, does that mean it's rigged? I have no clue. But if it was, I would not be surprised based on what I've watched the past few years. Like it would not surprise me. This isn't me saying it is. I have no freaking idea. I have no opinions on the logos or whatever. But there have been times where I've been watching the game and I'm like, oh my God. So. But I know you're not a big NFL person, so it's not.
I mean, I watch it all the time because my husband just has it on all the time. To me, it's background noise.
Sure. I mean, hockey, I love. Like I'm still a big hockey guy, and I'm a big football, the actual football guy. Soccer, but yeah, I just can't. Yeah, I can't get into the NFL anymore for reasons other than for a lot of reasons, and yeah, I thought that was interesting. We'll see what happens with Mr. Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel. So Joy, let's go to your work. So you have an update on East Palestine and a mutual aid situation there.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I've a show I've done almost 7 years, and I started covering East Palestine, Ohio, the day it happened, and it turned into me interviewing a lot of the residents, and it just became something where I became, very connected to them as people, and they became my family. So I just kind of started doing mutual aid events and brought some U-Hauls of food, diapers, clothing for kids, humidifiers, things like that, and pallets of water, because a lot of them, today we are at 11 months in, and a lot of them are still bathing in bottled water because the water is still giving them chemical burns.
I've seen some of those photos. It's crazy. And we've covered it here, and I know you've covered it as well. It's mind blowing.
It's awful. People are getting more and more sick. A gentleman had to have a double mastectomy because he got a rare form of breast cancer. There's no history in his family. There are people winding up in the hospital whose bodies just go completely numb. I know from the times I've gone to East Palestine, I have had tingling through the legs, violently ill, vomiting, lightheaded, lack of taste for days, and so many other things. I literally, right there, that beautiful, I lost a tooth the last time I went, and I didn't realize it was because of EP. But all of a sudden I was back here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I'm just watching, a show, and all of a sudden my tooth breaks in half. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So it was just so odd. There was nothing wrong with the tooth or anything. So I'm casually talking about it with my comrades. What's that?
What caused it?
Well, I was talking about it with my comrades in EP, and they said, that's what's happening to some of the residents. And then the next time I went to EP, my mouth started hurting, and the jaw started hurting, and my teeth started aching. And other people were saying, I have that too, and I lost a tooth, and so on. So it's the toxins in the air. So it's not just me, it's happening to people, which is why I'm scared I'm going back, to be quite honest, because, you know, I get to leave, but these people, every time, it happens to them every freaking day. My one little buddy, Edward, he's 4, he wears a gas mask. These people have not been, you know, a lot of times there's like, you know, articles that are like, oh, you know, Norfolk Southern is paying for this and stuff. No, it's not. Norfolk Southern is literally, as we speak, building a $25 million park on the land that is exposed. So that's what their money's going to. And 1 month from today, everyone who has been able to get temporary housing at hotels or what have you from Norfolk, it expires 1 month from today. So everyone needs to go back to their home, which, like, literally every time they walk in, they get ears bleeding, nose bleeding, coughing up blood, they get sores, everything just from walking in. I'm not even talking about the water or anything. I'm literally saying walking in. As soon as you walk into East Palestine, you cough, you get nauseous, you throw up. I can't even explain it to you guys. I mean, I covered this stuff for months before the first time I went there. And I went there and I'm like, holy shit. It's incredible. And still after 11 months. So these people have two options. They've all lost their jobs because the businesses have closed, obviously. So their 2 options are go back home, where their houses should literally be condemned, and subject themselves to even more sickness, or try to come up with some kind of money to keep staying at a hotel. Because there are single moms and kids who have been living in a hotel for 11 fucking months. And to give people also an idea, this is not something Norfolk comes out and pays. This is something they have to beg for reimbursement for. So when people are like, oh, they're putting up, no, they're not. No, they are not. They have to walk down to the freaking assistance office, which Norfolk runs, and be like, oh, you know, I need reimbursement for next month's rent or something. And when it comes to hotels, they'll say, nope, that had an extra bed. There's only one of you. We're not paying for that. Or like one of my friends, she has over $10,000 in hotel bills they will not pay for. So these people are being re-victimized by having to run up charge cards, and some of them don't have charge cards. They're staying in their car. People are going to literally move in their cars. Norfolk has the $25 million park, for crying out loud. Buy these people out. These people, the median income of families in East Palestine before the derailment, $27,000 a year. That's how much they made before the derailment. Their rents and mortgages were like $600 a month. And now they have nowhere to go but these places that are over $1,000 a month, because they have to go to the outside the town. And they're like, oh yeah, you don't have a job and we're giving you shit every time you want to be reimbursed. And by the way, you don't even have a chance of any kind of reimbursement. Next month, it's done. You're done. Go back home, live in your car. We don't care. That's it. So these articles imply like Norfolk, oh my God, they haven't even so much as given these people a case of water. So when I tell you, I've had calls in the middle of the night from residents who are literally like, trigger warning, they're saying like they don't want to live anymore. And they don't want to get out of bed anymore because they know that their local, state, and federal government does not care. And they are the only ones who can do something about it. Biden has had a declaration of disaster on his desk signed by the Ohio governor and others since July. He just has to sign it. That's all. That's all he has to do is sign the damn paper. No. So these people have nothing. So, you know, I've brought some U-Hauls of stuff the other 2 times. I'm going again this month. I just can't let them keep going through this without somebody helping, because they're not getting any freaking help from anyone else. So I just want to do what I can. So I'm doing another fundraiser. This money, what I'm trying to do is what I did with Max Alvarez from Real News and Working People's Podcast, what we did last month. I'm trying to raise money so I can buy gift cards. This is a very rural town. It's not like they have a lot of stores. We're going to do Walmart. That's their place, you know, in town. It's not a big place. So we're going to do Walmart gift cards. I want to be able to help as many people as possible with as much on the gift cards as possible. Last month, we raised $6,550, but there were 182 families who signed up, so we could only give $35 gift cards. I want to do better than that. They have nothing. When I say nothing, they literally have nothing. They had to throw out all their furniture, all their clothes. They have nothing. Their kids it's going to be summer coming in a few months. Their kids have no summer clothes. Like, it is so bad, you guys. They're effectively unhoused. And it's only getting worse because they have no health care, obviously. And the clinic they did have in town at first, they had no specialists. And when people were going in to pay $700 out of pocket for vinyl chloride testing, they were telling them, well, we don't know what kind of drugs you've done. We don't know. How do we know what your blood test is testing like that for? Things like that. This is how they've been treated. They have been told you just want free stuff. Like, these people are literally dying. The CDC said to them, we don't have doctors who can help you with the chemicals in your body now, but we have the ability to treat your cancer when it happens. The CDC said that.
Oh my God.
When it happens. They acknowledge this shit. I went and I recorded a 91-minute conversation with me and the head of the EPA in East Palestine, Mark Durno. And he admitted they have PTSD. He admitted that they're negotiating with Norfolk, even though the the EPA is top of the hierarchy. They're still negotiating with them. He admitted so much shit on that recording because he didn't know I was recording. Right. So if you want to hear the whole discussion, it's on my YouTube. But yes, they are trying to get pro bono lawyers, and they're going to be using a lot of my recording in that. But you guys got to understand, these people have no money. They have nothing to their name, nothing. And so, and lawsuits take a long freaking time. Like, it takes a long time. So yeah, if you can chip in anything, thank you to the 2 people who donated. We only have $150 so far. I'm going out February 1st. Last time I was able to bring, to buy like over $8,000 worth of mutual aid, which was fantastic. But we need more.
Well, Joy, thank you for everything you've been doing and all the stuff you've uncovered and all your work on this. I know Status Coup has been on the beat too. I personally have not, but Status Lou's been there. Jordan's been there.
Shout out to Lewis. Yeah.
So we've included that link in all the descriptions, folks. So if you are able, please donate. It is a very, very worthy cause, obviously. And East Palestine has completely been abandoned, just completely abandoned. And there has been so much deception from the beginning, because they, they said it was safe just because they didn't want to have to foot the bill. They didn't know. They didn't have a clue. There was nothing indicated that. In fact, all the evidence indicated the contrary. This is not safe at all. But they were like, "Oh yeah, it's safe because we don't want to foot the frickin' bill."
And they won't even test their homes before they're forced back in them next month. They won't even test them. My friend's little 3-year-old daughter was outside with these test strips with 4-year-old Edward, and she said to them, "What are you doing?" And they said, "We're playing activist. We're testing the water." These kids are 3 and 4 and can name the toxins, like the big long names of toxins. They can say their names and stuff. Like, this is, I can't even explain it to you guys. This is some dystopian shit. And if anyone who says they're anti-capitalist and stuff, this is the epitome of it, because you have a multi-billion-dollar corporation who is telling an entire town and the neighboring towns into Pennsylvania that they are disposable. They're completely expendable because of where they live.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I mean, you kind of look at stuff like this and you wonder, how can people even call the United States a first world country?
Exactly.
I mean, this is ridiculous. Well, everybody, we have those links. Please, I know some people have already donated. Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for that, Dave. Appreciate it. There you go. It says Joy and Ron make a great team. In case you
Thank you.
But
I think
Joy,
so too.
thank you. Back at you. Joy, thanks so much for joining me today. It would have been very, very lonely without you. And also shout out to Double K for your super chat. You help keep the show on the air. We appreciate it very, very much. So thank you for that. And Christopher Anthony, thank you for illuminating the thing that they were highlighting there with the logos. I was some of you guys are sending some more things about that conspiracy, and I will look into it. I am genuinely curious.
I'm gonna look into it.
I'm curious. I'm not endorsing anything, but I'm saying what I've seen, it would not be a shocking thing for me. It really wouldn't be. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on all that. And of course, solidarity with everyone in East Palestine. I'm gonna go change some bandages.
That's punk rock, Ron. That nobody.
Is it?
You're not punk rock if you don't have bandages. Okay.
Yeah. I got the bandages. I will mention a couple other quick things. So the Frank Azzurri, the series that we're going to be doing here on Status Coup between myself and my co-producer Andrew Saxena. First episode is going to drop on January 30th. We announced it last month. January 30th, first episode is going to drop. I'm real excited for you guys to see that. And of course, a few more. Yeah, there it is. January 30th, episode 1. Hey, the right has a bunch of scripted content. We got to fight back. And that's what happened. That's what's happening here. I think you guys are going to enjoy this series. It's a vertical series that premiered in Rome in October. And now we're bringing it to Status Coup. So we're really excited about that. And I do have some screenings for my movie. February 22nd, Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, Omaha, Nebraska. March 20th, Washington, D.C. March 22nd, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'll be there for a show and a screening. And this has just been announced, April 14th, Los Angeles, California. That's going to be a show and a screening. And then, of course, a Q&A. So ronplacone.com for all that. The donation links are in the description. Please, please, please help out the East Palestine residents if you can. Check out all of Joy's coverage. Check out all of our coverage. We've been on the beat there. Joy's been on the beat there. And Joy can't legally drive. So she's been taking buses from Harrisburg, where she lives, to East Palestine, which is not an easy trip. When you're not, I mean, it's kind of far if you're driving a car. It's really not easy.
Yeah, it's about an 8.5 hour.
Yeah.
Well, 8.5 hours to Pittsburgh, and then I gotta go from Pittsburgh to East Palestine.
Wow, and that's, is it Greyhound or what do you rely on?
No, I take the train, depending on the price of the train tickets, and then if not, I gotta go Greyhound.
Well. Again, thanks for everything you're doing there. Thank you, everybody, for participating in the show today. Thank you again, Double K, for your super chat contribution. Thank you to everyone who has donated to East Palestine so far. The links are in the description, as well as all the other information. Check out all of Savage Joy's stuff. Check out our YouTube. And yeah, I'm going to go change these bandages. This has been Savage Joy and Rob Placone for Status Coup, signing out.